Hey guys, figured I'd make a snare building video. I see quite a few on YouTube, but I've had a couple guys asking me how I build the snares that I've caught the Bobcat in. I've got a couple messages about it, so I figured I'd make a video of me making these snares here. I've already got a couple dozen made in a box I'm getting for a friend. He's wanting to get into it. First thing I do is, I guess I can show you the snare that I caught the or one just like it. They hold a real good loop. This 1x19 1/16 cable. You can get this cable and all this stuff that I use to make these snares at Sullivan's Trap Supply, OK Trap Supply, F&T Post, Cat's Bros. There's just any of the trap suppliers will have the stuff to make these snares. I personally get my stuff from OK Trap Supply. I really like dealing with him. He's got about the best buy on cable and stuff, and I've caught everything from Bobcat and Coyote to otters and beaver on this stuff, and I ain't had a chance to get a fox with one yet, but I was at my girlfriend's property yesterday and we heard fox mating calls, so we're going to see if we can't get one in either one of these or get him in a cage trap. May see if we can't get some of that on video. I ain't for sure yet. It just depends on how much time I got. But I start off with a aluminum ferrule, and then a washer, and then this 9-gauge swivel, and then on down the line I've got a Wammy, and I like the it's running all over the place on me. I like these micro locks. They're real. You can't see the snare sitting. Of course, I guess with any lock you can't, but you can't see it sitting on trail anywhere, which is what I like about snaring. But these micro locks, I really liked them. Everything I've come up on so far has been live, and that's what I want, come up on live. And then I've got a deer stop on here, which is Arkansas state law, keeps it from closing less than 2 inches. So that's pretty much all the details on the snare, and I guess I can show you guys how I make one. I get my box out here. Need 2 aluminum ferrules, a deer stop. See if we got one of these I can try and get out of here. They're all tangled up. That's usually how these whammies are. Get one of these undone here. That's what would be pestrous. A Wammy, aluminum ferrule, a washer, and a slim lock. Or not a slim lock, but a micro lock. Now the first thing you do whenever you're building snares is you take your snare wire or cable, and you lay it in your hands, and you want to see which way it's drooping. That'll tell you which way you need to bend the wire for your lock and stuff like that. But first thing I like to do is I like to take and put a ferrule on there and grab my crimpers and see if I can do this in frame. I take and leave about a 1/4 inch overhang. I don't know if the camera can see that or not. I know my camera's not the best in the world. About a 1/4 inch overhang. I just stick it right in there. And I'm having difficulties, which is usually how my day starts. Kind of been one of those days. Nothing's wanting to cooperate. But anyways, you take it, you crimp that down, get him loose, and then you take it in your hand again, and you make sure it's still bending down, or got to bend this way, and then you take your pliers, and I usually bend them about right there, and I take it and bend it just like this. I just take it and grab it in my hand and bend it on these long those pliers, and then I'll take it and kind of smash that down a little bit where it looks like that right there. Seems like to me these micro locks really like the way this sits like this, and cable works really good. Now the next part is we're going to come over here. I've got a smooth copper rod right here that I load these snares, and what loading a snare is just putting a little more bend in the cable where they got a little snap to them whenever they go off. And all you do to do that is you take about that much cable right there and you just run it back and forth over this, like this right here. And about like that's a pretty good load. I like it about like that. Now the next step is, fix the camera here. Next step to doing this is to put your lock on there. And whenever you're doing this, you want to remember that you go backwards on the lock. You want to put it through backwards first, I believe. Let me get this around here and make sure before I go. Yep, you run it backwards first. So that way when it gets up here on this lock, it sits real nicely like that. Next step is we got to slide a deer stop on. And after we get the deer stop on, like that right there, we take and run our cable. We thread it back through the lock, and then we put a whammy on, which you always feed the fat end first, because that's, you want your cable to be holding it from this end. So you feed the, or whenever it's fed on there, you got your whammy on there where it's like that, where the fat ends on the outside edge. That way you can put your support wire into that, or into the whammy. Then the next thing you do is you slide on your swivel, and then you slide on a washer, and then you slide on this little aluminum ferrule there. You put it in the crimpers, or you can do it on an anvil. I used to do them like that, but it's a lot faster to do it with a pair of crimpers. And if you ain't got a pair of crimpers, what you have to do is you take that and beat that flat with a hammer on a anvil. And what I used to use is a sledgehammer. You can see how shiny that is. That's all aluminum. I used to make hundreds of them off this thing before I got my buddy's crimpers. It makes life a lot easier being able to crimp them on there like that. But that's it, other than putting this deer stop on. And the way we do that is we pull it down, and I grab tape measure, that way I make sure they're all legal. And the loop can't be no smaller than 2.5 inches, and right here it's 2.5 inches. So what I do is I take this little deer stop and I run it around where my finger is just pinched. I take this pair of pliers, and they've got like a little gap in them. I don't know if you can see that little gap right there. I grab this and I just crimp it down. And usually if that ain't enough, I might take and flatten it out on this anvil where both sides are, and that don't move. That way if a deer gets his leg caught in there, he can get his leg out. But that's it. Completely made snare. And you can see how this 1x19 keeps a perfect loop. I really like it. But anyways, that's pretty much all there is to building a snare. You can go set these all day long, catch critters in them, and they'll hold. So good luck on making you into snares. And I may show you a little trick here I've learned from a buddy. It's taking rabbit skin, and what you do is you take the rabbit fur. It's over here. I don't know if the camera's going to be able to pick it up. Oh yeah. What you do here, got a little rabbit hanging. Sorry about that. I know the light ain't the world's best, but you get your rabbit, and then I use these little Kool-Aid jars. I bleach them out and let them sit for a couple weeks and have dirt and everything else in them where they're good and scent free. I usually let them sit over time. What you do is you come over here to your rabbit, you take and sit here and pull all his hair off. And what you can do is see all that hair coming off there? You can set that on your set. So anytime you are making a set, you can just take this fur and just sprinkle it around on your set. And then if you need a little scent ball or anything for anything whenever you're about to go, what you can do is take his little tail here, and Buddy showed me this. Oh, there's your scent ball. Right there, you can take his tail off and pop that down the hole with the white facing out. And it's just a little trick you can do for a little added eye appeal if you need it in a set, if you're using footholds. I know in the state of Arkansas you can't have nothing visible from the air, so you can't have no feathers or anything like that around your set. But you can always take a rabbit's tail and shove it down that hole with that white facing out and throw some hair down that hole, and it looks like something's been down in there killing something. So that's just a little extra figured I'd throw in for you guys. Well, hope you enjoyed and hope it wasn't drug out and too long.